News 46. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome to Semper Fi. I'm your host, Mark Bonstein, or as I was commonly referred to as Staff Sergeant B. We'll get to my guest in a minute. First, we're going to do our usual what happened in this day in U.S. military history. In the Navy, 1842, Midshipman Philip Spencer, 18, on the brig of war Somers, the first U.S. naval officer condemned for mutiny. He was hung. Spencer was the son of John Spencer, the Secretary of War under President John Tyler. Back then, they were very strict to you. And in the Army, 1943, the U.S. Army, Fifth Army in Italy became more active. Oh, apparently you were with the Fifth Army. All right.
Yes, it was.
All right. As participation in the resumption of offensive proceedings, diversity attacks, and the support of the 8th Army offensive continued. So you have to talk about when you were in the 5th Army. And in the Coast Guard in 1944, the Office of the Air Sea Rescue set up the Coast Guard, and that was done by the Secretary of the Navy. And in 1947, in the Marine Corps, the Corps' first helicopter squadron, HMX-1, was commissioned at Quantico. And the quick note from the VA clinic that Bruce wanted me to address, Veterans Memorial Wreath Ceremony will be this Wednesday, December 7th, at the 70th anniversary of the attack of Pearl Harbor. The time will be 11 a.m. until approximately noon. And the place will be the Pahrump Veterans Memorial. And it's at 751 South Pahrump Valley Boulevard, East Street, hosted by American Veterans Auxiliary Unit 15. So, according to Bruce, we have about 50 to 60 World War II veterans still alive.
It's a good number.
And some of them apparently are Pearl Harbor survivors. And further ado, my guest did 18 years in the Army, retired, John Radell. Welcome to Semper Fi.
Thank you for having me.
And before we get started, I want to show you a segment from YouTube. So, Jeff, if you'd be so kind, roll it. There we go. How'd you like that?
That was awesome.
Told you you'd like it. All right, so my guest, John, was in the Army, did 18 years, nicknamed Bear. All right, so give us some background on you.
Well, I started in 1987, and I stayed in the Army until 2004. Retired on February 1st, 2004. I think I'm busier now in retirement than I was on active duty.
So, did you go to the Army right after high school? Were you on delayed entry?
Yeah, I waited about a year after high school.
Okay, so where are you from originally?
Huntington Beach, California.
Okay, and then where'd you go to boot camp?
Boot camp was at Fort McClellan, Alabama.
And boot camp was how long?
8 weeks. 8 weeks of fun.
Any good stories from boot camp?
Yeah, don't try and smoke around the drill sergeants and when you're at boot camp. You wind up eating a lot of tobacco.
Okay. So upon graduation, what was your primary MOS?
Primary MOS was 54 Bravo, which is nuclear biological chemical specialist. And later re-enlisted and decided to change up and go into a different field and specialized in 11 Bravo and went on from there into special operations.
Okay, 11 Bravo was being what?
Basic grunt soldier.
Okay.
So I started from there, went through grunt school. Then from there went to went to selection school, made it through that process.
What is that exactly?
Selection schools for special operations.
Okay, a little bit more entailed of doing.
Lot more entailed. Fared out fairly okay with that. Decided it really was something I would go back to later on. I was still fairly young, so I went into. I was really good behind a rifle.
Okay.
So I decided that I thought I'd try and pursue that a little bit more. Wound up going to sniper school, and that's where I fell into my niche of what I wanted to be in the Army, what I wanted to do, and how I wanted to see my career progress, and so that's what I did.
Now, how long is sniper school?
It depends on the program. I believe, and I could be wrong on the Marine Corps, it is 13 weeks.
About something like that. Once again, I've been retired a while.
And it's
14
it's
years.
about the same for the Army.
About 13-week school. Live out in the field mostly.
Yeah, it's a different type of environment, but there again, you're learning the skills to survive and protect and overwatch. Primarily, people have a misconception of snipers thinking that we're looking for that setup for that one good shot. Well, 90% of the time, it's a boring job. We're out there doing observation posts and data collection. That's primarily what snipers do, is data collection.
Yeah, just observe and report.
Observe and report.
And you're mainly there just to make sure that you can protect yourself if you have to get out of there.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Gunny highway. So what are the areas that you get transferred to? Now, you're done with sniper school. Now you're qualified as a sniper. Where do they send you to?
I originally started in Germany and from there deployed all over the world. I've been to Turkey, Bosnia, Czechoslovakia. Latest deployment was Iraq. Did 19 months altogether over there, and I can honestly say it's the most unfun place I've ever been. Giant cat box of the world.
Wasn't it? So you were over there as a sniper in Iraq?
Yes, and transportation driver.
Okay, ran a lot of convoys?
Oh yeah, convoys 24/7. MSR Tampa became my best friend. It's one of the main supply routes over there, and yeah, we became very acquainted with MSR Tampa, which is about 68 miles long. Constant bumpy roads. Bumpy roads and windstorms. That's what Iraq is.
Either work on your bladder or make you go to sleep.
There you go.
Any good stories you have anywhere of any of your duty stations? You were in Turkey. How was that? Don't hear many people being stationed in Turkey.
It really wasn't a duty station. It was more of a diplomatic situation.
You leave it at that?
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Just kind of the way you said it,
Yeah, well, don't do this at home, boys and girls.
All right, so what else can you tell me about yourself a little bit, the rest of your career?
Well, since I've gotten out, I've developed a website which is based on my personal background, which is American Indian. And to help me through some of the difficult times. I mean, I had a major problem with alcohol and substance abuse when I got out. Couldn't deal with the post-traumatic stress disorder and the depression and everything else that I'd been through, being blown up, being shot, and so I fell into that pattern for a long time. What finally helped to bring me out of it was detox centers, of course, to initially get myself dried up. And then after that, I fell back into my spirituality, which happens to be a Native American background.
All right.
And so I use that in the ceremonies of our people to keep myself in balance and to share that. My goal is to share that information with as many people as possible. Here's what I did. Here's what's going on. Maybe this will work for you. As well, I've also been on tour circuit, speaking around the country with an organization called Give an Hour, the national spokesperson for them. I, as well, have participated in the writing of a book. At the moment, the name of it escapes me, but
Don't come to you.
it's all based on PTSD, my experiences in Iraq, and there's 28 different stories of different soldiers that are contributed to this book, which basically tells our perspective of it, our treatment through the VA and getting through the VA after Fort Lewis. So it's basically, it encompasses everything in a very short amount of pages per soldier. And then you have a roundabout full spectrum story that brings everything together.
And how far are you in the book right now?
Book is finished. It's been out on the market
Oh, really?
for 2.5 years.
Really?
It's made it on a #1 bestseller list.
No kidding.
Yeah, I've had my ups and downs over the last 8 years of my retirement, but I've also accomplished quite a bit, and I just look forward to the future, knowing that I'm going to be able to accomplish a whole lot more.
Well, you just keep setting your goals and keep moving forward.
Keep setting your goals just like you do in the military, and utilizing a lot of that training and going back to it. And well, okay, here's my situation. How can I slice the pie in half so I can deal with this a little bit more easily and navigate, improvise, adapt, and overcome the situation and move on to the next obstacle.
How long did it take you to write your book?
I didn't actually do the writing. I'm a participant in it. A lot of my dictation was oral because I'm not good on computers. I've got a brain injury, traumatic brain injury, so I'm limited on what I can or can't do these days. But I had somebody else that the actual author of the book did oral interviews and flew out to California to do interviews and brought me down to Orlando, Florida. We did interviews down there. It's been interesting. Next step is Washington, D.C. To step into a realm that I'm not comfortable with, which is more geared towards the political side of the House, to try and get some legislation put in place to help returning soldiers. It wasn't there in place for us coming back in 2003, 2004. But hopefully now, with the way things are starting to change with our society and the view of the soldier, not necessarily the politics of our government, but the soldier's point of view, maybe it's time now we can finally push that legislation through and get the help needed for the soldiers that are coming home in this next wave.
All right, so who are you going to go see over there in Washington?
We're not sure yet. Whoever will open up the door and let us in.
So who are you going up representing your...
I'm going up there representing the organization Give an Hour.
Okay. How many strong is this organization?
Right now, there's 900 volunteers that I know of. I could be wrong on that number. It could be a little bit less or a little bit more. But it's a fairly well-known organization. They provide everything from speech therapy to psychological help for you, mental health for you. They provide the gap between that the VA is somewhat slow on, which is you're waiting to get from point A to point B, which is your doctor. Well, Give an Hour takes out point B, goes from point A to point C, start to finish, right to the doctor, and you get all your needs taken care of outside of the VA system. And they've got resources for low income, and there's a lot of the returning reservists that are coming back that don't have the job that they had before they deployed. So this provides a way to ease back into society and have some financial things come into play for the veterans until their VA benefits start to kick in. So there's lots of different things that are out there right now.
All right. Now, when are you heading up to Washington to do this?
I'm still waiting to hear back on that. We're looking at sometime early summer.
Really? Okay. I'd like to keep in touch with you about that.
Anytime. And if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind putting my information out there as far as a website. For you folks that are interested in Native American spirituality, my website is http://rpmlmedicinelodge.org. And feel free to check out the website, see what we're all about, see what we're doing. And if you feel like it's something that might be geared towards something where you want to look into it more, feel free to contact me, and my information's on that website.
Before we go off the air, because a lot of people that are watching the show, they didn't catch it the first time, whether they didn't have a pen or pencil. I want you to, repeat the website a second time. This way, if somebody says, I wasn't ready, they can get a pen and paper and they can listen to it a second time. So, all right. And you retired in 2004.
2004.
And you retired as Staff Sergeant as well. And did you have a big ceremony when you retired?
No, actually I didn't. I left Fort Lewis, sort of came under the radar. I was one of the very first soldiers back in 2003 that got what was called respite care. So when I was going through the medical board process, basically they allowed me to come home to California, be with my family, go to the VA in California, make all my appointments there rather than being left at the base at Fort Lewis, which was a lot easier on me mentally and spiritually and all the way around.
All right. Okay, and you were in Iraq for 19 months, you said?
19 months. Fun place.
Now, the Army does things different than we do.
Yeah.
We have to stay in deployment with the Navy, so whenever they leave, like 6 months, we had to depart with them, where the Army always had to stay a little bit longer than we always had to do. So, what camp were you at over there? I was at Camp Doha when I was in Kuwait.
I've been to Doha, Arif John, Camp Liberty was where I was actually based out of.
That was the main. I hear a lot about Camp Liberty. And that was the area there for Camp Liberty. I know they said they really tried to make it homey.
When we first got there, it was they didn't really have anything. We had a giant mess hall basically in the middle of the camp, and everybody went to that. Slowly, in different sections, they built up rec rooms and TV. They actually had a TV area where you could video call your folks back home, or your wife and children, or. But towards the end, when I got ready to leave, they had the Burger King, the Carl's Jr., the Subway. It was like you're basically at home. You didn't have to eat at the mess hall at all.
So who was running these fast foods? I remember the one general shut them all down.
Well, back when I was over there, they let the locals take care of running them. That way they got an income, and we're providing a service for protection for them, so they're providing a service of making sure we have fresh water, fresh food, and all that good
none
stuff.
of you were allowed to, on your off time, work at these establishments?
No.
Because you always had to be on call anyway.
No.
But who was the general that finally, I was watching on the news where he said all the fast food places are going under because he didn't like everybody eating all those places. I want to say General Petraeus, but I think I might be wrong.
I think it was Petraeus, but I'm not sure. I'm not clear on that.
That must have been something. Watch all those places go up, and then they just turn around and pull the plug and say, nope, you guys are eating way too much over there.
Time to eat fancy. Here's your MRE.
They tried catering us meals when I was in Kuwait. By the time, they had the bread open, the time you make your sandwich, come down, the bread's already getting solid, hard, and they had this division of these Indians that wound up catering to us, and that didn't last very long. The meat started going brown, and
oh, that's good meat. That's the best part.
Yeah. Drank a lot of coffee.
Yeah, coffee and warm water.
Had one bottle of water in each cargo pocket, and then one in your hand.
I used to start up first thing in the morning. I'd take my 12-liter bottle of water, open it up, put the instant coffee in there, shake it up, hang it on the side of the truck.
Watch it heat up.
Wait about 20 minutes. I had a hot cup of coffee.
When somebody brought a little thermometer, we hung outside our tent. We did the same thing. Put the water in the canteen cup, just set it outside, and just watched it go.
There you go.
I mean, it wasn't boiling hot, but you drank warm coffee. It was better than drinking nothing.
Yeah.
The MRE heaters that's when they started going on the fritz on me over there. So I had a little squad stove. Worked all that time. Go over to Kuwait, wouldn't work. Everybody kept tearing it down and putting it up.
I was really hoping for the pork MRE, because that one was actually pretty good, but we couldn't have them over there. For obvious reasons. Here's a mosque. Throw it in.
So much for our freedom of speech over there, right?
Yeah.
We had to combat with everybody else. I know. They'd wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning with the PA system, with the prayers.
Well, one of the things I liked is different than 10 years ago is we didn't have to put up the alarms or anything like that going off. That was a big plus. 3 o'clock in the morning trying to force on a Mop 4 just doesn't work. Get your gear and run. Falling down in the sand.
Oh, yeah, we had a good time. I wasn't there nearly as long as you. We were only there for about a month and a half, and we were at Camp Doha. We went there after the war. We did a ship offload, and then, show and force. And then we wound up coming back about a month and a half later. So, wasn't there as long as you were there. But just from the time we were there, we had a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. One of the, I guess, pearls of wisdom I've got that I've learned over the last 8 years, and like I said, it's been a major struggle with me personally. My personal life, I came home, I lost my second marriage, went down a drain, uprooted, started over from scratch with basically nothing. I've met my beautiful wife, Melissa, who's in the studio as well. We've been married this February 27th will be a year.
Oh, congratulations.
Things all the way around are looking up, but the most important piece of advice I can give any one of the returning soldiers coming home is don't give up, and please don't think that you're alone, because you're not alone. We're here. We're here to support you. We're waiting on you, and when you need to cry, we're going to be there for you. When you can't walk, we'll carry you. We're here.
That's good. Jeff, was that 3 minutes for the end of the show or for a commercial? End of the show? Okay, we're coming down to the last 3 minutes. So like I said, I want you to give your website out one more time.
Okay.
For those that didn't get it the first time.
All right. Again, the website is http://rpmlmedicinelodge.org. And again, if you are interested or have thought about looking into Native American spirituality, take a look at the website.
Yeah,
There's a lot of information on you.
I didn't know he was going to do that. There you go.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
He's a good guy. I tell you, he makes me look good.
Yeah, he does.
That was real nice of them to put up there for you. I'm talking about pen and paper, and he put it up there for you. So, all right. So we're coming down to another episode of Semper Fi, and for being on the show, I'd like to give you one of my Semper Fi chips.
Thank you
for being on the show. And December 1st, starting out the year, almost winding down the year, getting close for the holidays and the new year coming around the corner. So with another episode behind us, remember, you have a story. I want to hear it, just like Bear did. Come out and share with everyone else. And until next week, you got a story, I want to hear it. Give me a call, area code 775-513-2056, if you'd like to be on the show like Bear. And we'll see you next week. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Semper Fi. Hoorah.
Left foot, left foot, left